I don't believe in God. I think one of the most problematic things for me when I was a Muslim was to look at a map of the distribution of religious groups and to think a little bit further about that. In fact, I'll do it right here. There are many maps which show the distribution of religious groups. Here is one of them. Some of these maps may divide Christian beliefs into separate religions, and some do the same with Islam. But I think it's totally sufficient to simply look at a map that colors the map by the major religions. When I look at this map, I see something that I could never unsee when I was a Muslim.
Wow. Wow. Hey, guys, this is where we get the wow from. Wow. Say it with me in the live chat. Say it with me. Wow. Guys, this is, look at this. What an honor. We get this wow.
And as someone who really loves maps, it always disturbed me when I came across a map of religions. What I see is that the religion that you believe in depends very much on the circumstances that you are brought into when you are born. If you're born in the middle of America, you are very likely to be born into Christianity.
Oh, wow. You guys really delivered. Look at this. Wow. Wow, wow. Insha Armin. Yes, exactly. Wow, wow. Yeah, I like Fatima now. Wow, wow. Okay. Hold on.
If you are born in Italy, you are even more likely to.
When Apostle Prophet says, or any other atheist say that God doesn't exist, they want to say God, a concept is flawed and it doesn't exist. Am I right? I don't know what you mean by that question. When we say God doesn't exist, it just simply means that God doesn't exist, or it's so unlikely for it to exist that we treat it as something like as if it doesn't exist. Okay, because there are many things that the chances of them existing so close to zero that you might as well act like they are non-existent. Anyways, let's focus on this video, guys. Guys, make sure when you're tagging, it's something in this video. Now we're talking about maps. Now the conversation is about maps and the distribution of religions, okay?
To be a Christian. In Poland, even more. If you're born in Saudi Arabia, you're almost definitely a Muslim. If you're born in Pakistan or Egypt, you are again most likely a Muslim. And this only scratches the...
Not anymore in Iran. I know that. And also, actually, I'm not even sure anymore about Saudi Arabia, okay? I don't know. I'm going to give you guys some more information later. But, I mean, it's almost you're more likely to be Muslim, but almost guaranteed. I think it's pushing it a little bit too far now, thanks to people like Ridwan himself. Hold on.
In Poland, even more. If you're born in Saudi Arabia, you're almost definitely a Muslim.
No, not anymore. Doesn't seem like that anymore. We're getting some conflicting reports, and I mean, it's still very likely. I would say you're very likely a Muslim, but almost definitely not anymore. Not anymore. Not even in Saudi effing Arabia.
If you're born in Pakistan or Egypt, you are again most likely a Muslim.
Most likely, yes. Almost definitely not.
And this only scratches the surface. I was born in Germany, which is predominantly Christian, although Germans don't really care that much about religion anymore. But since I was born into a Turkish Muslim immigrant family in Germany, I was born into Islam and was raised as a Muslim. Most people who, like in my case, are born into such Muslim families would live their lives as Muslims and die as Muslims. Most of them would never change their beliefs. I was just an exception. I had different interests, a different personality, maybe a combination of things that happened in my life, and I chose to abandon.
He's not going to say it. You're smarter and more curious. That's what it is. Our apostate prophet, our prophet be humble, unlike me, okay? You're just smarter and more curious. You had superior genes or something. Hossein is saying, well, statistically, Ridwan is right because many people are forced to be in the closet. Okay, Hossein, I think your definition of what the Muslim is flawed. If you're forced to be in the closet, then you're not a Muslim. If you're in the closet, you mean you're an ex-Muslim in the closet. So no, you're not a Muslim. I don't care what you call it, what they call you. I don't care what label they give you. I don't care what you pretend to be. I mean, I do care actually, but for our purposes, you're not a Muslim. Just because you say you're a Muslim, just because your ID says you're a Muslim, just because the census says you're a Muslim. If you don't believe in Allah, or if you don't believe in Muhammad as a prophet, or if you don't believe that the Quran is the direct word of God, you are not a Muslim. But they said no. Then you're Hussein. You're wrong. Me sometimes I feel like maybe Karbala was a good thing that happened. Yeah, okay, Christopher. Yes, I agree with you, but I'm not going to read it because we're going to focus on the maps now, or else we're going to stay on this video forever. Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Guys, I don't think you do. I think most of you don't understand the difference between more likely or almost definitely. You guys are just like, maybe go back to school and do some probability and statistics and something like that. Okay, Dolly is wishing she was born on Mars. All right, let's continue.
And in my beliefs and to change them. But most people don't do that. In modern times, religious interactions may have become much more common, but still, most people stay within the religions that they are born into. Only few people abandon their religion, and only a very tiny number of people, maybe a statistically insignificant number of people, convert to a different religion permanently. And this intrusive idea that I always got when I looked at this map is, how could I possibly believe that my religion is the true one, the right one, the good one, when the conviction that my religion is the right one only depends on where I am born and in
Okay, so again, I mean, it's very true, everything he's saying, but I think he should drop the word. I mean, I don't want to be this nitpicky about it, but he shouldn't say only. Like, look at this.
Is, how could I possibly believe that my religion is the true one, the right one, the good one, when the conviction that my religion is the right one only depends on
where
I am born and in.
Okay, no, don't. I mean, okay, I'm being nitpicky. I'm sorry. I'm being nitpicky just because the Apostle Prophet here is at his Meccan phase. So I get to be nitpicky. I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that he hasn't established the Caliphate yet. So I have the freedom to criticize our dear Prophet. I wouldn't say only depends on, based on the things that he just said before it, right? Like he said, like he was an exception. He himself shows that it doesn't only depend on where you were born, but he should. I think if I was changing something, I would just say it is very much influenced by where you are born, instead of saying only depends on where you're born.
What time?
I cannot help but notice that what Ridvan is describing is a big issue, and that compromised his faith when he was still a Muslim is in reality but a very poor argument that is not taken seriously by theologians or philosophers alike.
Okay, so then guys, then nobody should be. This is such a lame and cringy comeback. There are a lot of commentators that have good comments that, first of all, if your argument is not, don't worry about theologians. Theologians shouldn't be taken seriously by anybody. So if your arguments are not being taken seriously by theologians, that's not a bad thing, okay? The theologians are the people that need to be worried about people taking them seriously for anything. Look at this. Look at the comeback here.
So I cannot help but notice that what Ridvan is describing is a big issue, and that compromised his faith when he was still a Muslim is in reality but a very poor argument that is not taken seriously by theologians or
not taken seriously by theologians. Wow. Look at not taken seriously by theologians. Oh, what a poor argument. Your argument will not be taken seriously by theologians. Good. The theologians should not be taken seriously by anybody. The theologians are people who try to count the number of angels on on a head of a needle, right? So yeah, people that are having arguments about magic and spells and superstition, and they think they're intellectuals because they come up with fill libraries with nonsense. And they go into so much nuance and details about it. They think and they congratulate each other about the so-called scholarly work that they're doing. Yeah, those are just children acting like playing with fairy tales and living in La La Land, and they want to be taken seriously by the rest of the world, and they think that we should feel like we should be taken less seriously because theologians wouldn't take our argument seriously. If a theologian is taking your argument seriously, it better be because you're shaking their faith, because if it's for any other reason, you're spewing nonsense. Okay. Yeah, wow, you guys really deliver every time I say wow. That's great. Yes, Armin. Yeah, Armin or Armin? Armin? Or is this a version of Armin? with my name. Theologians shouldn't be taken seriously. Exactly. No, nobody should take theologians seriously. Yeah, it is an appeal to authority. You're right. It's an appeal to authority. And guys, should anybody, like, you know how many people should just shut up? If you know who else? You know who else wouldn't be taken seriously? Okay, never mind. Because a lot of great thinkers wouldn't be taken seriously by theologians because they completely dismiss the supernatural world, and they're yet great thinkers. And just because theologians are not taking it seriously, you want to just be like, what kind of a responses? And this is a guy that has this like such a cringe response to Ridwan, and he thinks like he's like, this is such a gotcha video.
Or philosophers.
Yeah, should be a thing. Armin, yes, with their prayer hand. Let's do that. Oh no, wait. Susanna is not here, so we could allow this.
Alike. The Catholic writer Trent Horn describes this more as a bad attitude than a proper argument. And this further prompts me.
Look at these responses. Look at your responses. You think your responses are proper arguments? He's like, this is not an argument. It's like a bad attitude. And he's criticizing other people for not making any arguments. And yet he thinks this is a proper response.
Me to believe that Ridwan is not really philosophically prepared, to be having this kind of talks. Let's see why it's a bad argument.
Okay, great. So he's actually, after going personally trying to like dismiss him, then he's basically setting up, you go after the guy, you create a frame of mind for your audience before you actually to dismiss them and make them look ridiculous before you actually go in and look at the argument. So you already set the mind of your audience in a position to be dismissive of everything Ridwan says before you actually address whether or not he's making a good point. Hossein is saying bringing up philosophers is another common tactic from apologists since they've had a monopoly on it for close to 2,000 years. Very good point, Hossein. They're like, oh my God, look at this. All of these great thinkers were Muslim or Christian. Or we're like, yeah, as opposed to what? Everybody, like, yeah, as opposed to what? Okay, let's continue.
So Ridwan is claiming that you cannot believe your religion to be the right one because such belief only depends on where you are born. Now, the first logical issue.
I mean, technically, Ridwan himself suggested that it's not. I mean, he said only, and that I think he should fix. He would be better if he fixed that. But technically, he himself admitted that it's not only because he mentioned himself as an exception and other people as exceptions, and saying for some places saying more likely, and even for Saudi Arabia he said almost definitely, not definitely. So yeah, so I mean he said only, which that part should be fixed, but that's nitpicking.
I have with this statement is that he's conjuring up this only depends on where you are born.
Yeah, okay, so that's fair. The only part shouldn't be there.
I mean, the logical fallacy he's committing is simply ascribing motives to people's convictions behind their beliefs that he has really no means to verify. Well, unless he asks them, of course. And I'm pretty sure that if he was to ask any believer...
Come on, he doesn't really mean it. Because, okay, this is such a... Okay, so he's being more nitpicky than I am. Because, of course... Apostle Prophet knows that there are atheists in Saudi Arabia, there are Christians in Iran, there are Muslims in United States. So, as much as we want to play like, oh my God, here's a nitpicky, you shouldn't have said only. Like, this is unfair because that he himself knows that this is not the only factor. You could be like, I mean, based on all the conversations that the videos he made, the conversations he had, I had a live stream with him talking about how Islam is is very likely a minority religion now in Iran. So of course he knows this thing. So you could pick this only thing and say like, oh, he's wrong. But if you want to be charitable, you could know that he knows that there are other factors at play here as well because of all the other videos he's made.
from any different religion, even if they're born and raised into it, I'm pretty sure they would come up with reasons that are not just, well, because I was born into it. That's really not charitable. And
yeah, he's not. Yeah, but that's not what he believes, and you're not being very charitable for assuming just because of that use the word only, because I know you watch all of his other content, so you know that that's not necessarily what he thinks. He's actively part of the reason why so many people are not Muslim, even in Muslim majority countries. So he knows that it's not only, because why would he make, like, here's the thing, he's making videos against Islam in Turkish. So if he thought that the only indicator of what religion you have is where you're born, why would he even try to reach the Turkish audience? Because your video would not have any influence, because that wouldn't even be a factor, right? So we know that that's not, again, this guy, like, I was being nitpicky, but I knew that Apostle Prophet knows more than that. I just thought, like, he was just, he was trying to emphasize by using the word only, because he could have said a major factor, but he was emphasizing and used only, and I think he should have said major factor. But I know that he knows that that's not necessarily true. Okay, that's what I mean, if I want to be charitable. So it's very interesting that this coming from this guy, what's his name again, Full Metal Theist, saying that Apostle Prophet is not being charitable, while he himself is not being charitable. Let me actually pay attention a little bit to live chats if I missed anything. Hossein saying the argument is still very valid. Allah or Yahweh influence is very much affected by geopolitics. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Apostle Prophet is making a really good point, because the fact that your place of birth has a strong influence on what your religion is going to be should give you a lot of skepticism about what the hell, how could I be so sure about my religion when it's so much influenced by where I was born. And he's missing that entire point by focusing on the only part, right? So he's just throwing, like, Ridwan is making a very important point, and he's just, like, completely distracted. Like, I was a little distracted by the word only, but he's, like, not even paying attention to the main point of the argument that Ridwan is making. Not only, but exactly. Pyro is making a good point here. Not only, but the highly likelihood of a person being born in a specific area with specific parents, the child will have religion that is from an area. Yes, and again, that should make you extremely suspicious about the validity of the religion that you end up being born into, and that's Rizwan's point. And this guy is missing it because he's fixating on the word only. Full mental theist. Okay.
And starting with a quick logical analysis of the inference itself, there is really nothing stopping one from believing that his religion is the right one, actually. Despite being born and raised into it, people can believe whatever they want. How can...
Well, he didn't say they can't. That's a straw man. But did Ridwan ever suggest that they can't?
I believe? Well, they can still believe that even if they're wrong. I'm just making an analysis of the inference here, because Ivan, you got to be careful about what kind of words you use. If you're doing philosophy, you need to do it well and be precise about what you say.
Maybe take some of your advice. You're responding to claims that he did not make. And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy of where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free, it's not even promotion, it's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.